G'day, welcome to the first video on splitting the middle term. This is, I guess, an extension of the cross method. It's just a slightly different method of working out the same thing. So I don't mind which method you use. You can use this method or you can use the cross method, or you can invent your own method if you like. It doesn't really bother me at all. As long as you, I would encourage you to know both, just because I think they are useful in different situations. Yeah, as long as you can do one for this semester, that's okay. So let me start. Essentially what I'm going to do is this 9x here, I'm going to turn it into two different things. I'm going to turn it into, say, 3x and 6x or something like that, just to factorize further. The first thing I do though is I look at the numbers in front of the coefficients here. Okay, so I look at the number in front of x squared, the number in front of x, and the number 20. Okay, and I say what I'm really looking for is the number in front of x squared multiplied by the coefficient, by the constant, which is 20. So in this case, there's a 1 there, and I'm going to do 1 times 20 equals 20. Okay, and then I'm going to think of two numbers that multiply to get to 20 and add to get to 9. So I'm thinking of, say, 4 times 5 equals 20, and 4 plus 5 equals 9. Okay, and we need to make sure that we've got those combinations there. If we don't have those combinations, then it's not going to work. Okay, so then I end up with x squared plus 4x plus 5x plus 20, and the 4 comes from, there's 4 plus 9. 4 plus 5 equals 9 bits, so the 4x and the 5x. And now I'm just going to simply take out a common factor out of the first two to be x plus 4, and the next two, 5x plus 4. At this point, I have to get two brackets that are exactly the same. If I don't get two brackets that are exactly the same, you just might need to swap these middle terms here. They might need to change over a little bit. So I get here, now that I've got them exactly the same, I now go back to, I guess, what we did in 2.2 possibly, and that becomes, I take out that as a common factor, x plus 4, and I get x plus 4, x plus 5, and I've factorized it there. Okay, I like this method more when the questions get a little bit more complicated. If they're straightforward questions like these ones, I'm probably going to use the cross method. But if it's a more complicated question, which I'll show you in just a little bit, I would use this method here. So I would prefer to know both. I think it's quite handy to know both of them. Okay, so I'm going to look at this one here, x squared minus x minus 30. The number in front of x squared is again a 1. So 1 times negative 30 is going to just equal negative 30. And I need to think of two things that multiply to get to negative 30. And I'm like, and they also need to add to get to negative 1. There's a negative 1 there. Okay, so when I add them together, they need to be negative 1, and when I multiply them together, they need to be negative 30. So I'm going to suggest that it's probably going to be 4 and 5. Sorry, what am I talking about? 4 and 5. 6 and 5. But one of them has to be positive and one of them has to be negative. So, and I'm also thinking it's got to be equal to negative 1, so 6 needs to be the bigger number. So I'm going to say that's negative 6 plus 5. Okay, I'll change that up there as well. So now I get x squared minus 6x plus 5x minus 30, not plus 30. Okay, and now I just go about factorizing these two and these two. So I get x minus 6 plus 5 x minus 6, and again that's good. I've got the same bracket on both times, so now I take that out as a common factor. I get x minus 6 x plus 5. Okay, so just another handy way of being able to try and factorize these things. I think this is slightly different to the textbook. The textbook would just teach you that it needs to multiply to get to negative 30 and add to get to negative 1. But I've said that it's got to be 1 times negative 30, which will make a difference later on when the questions get a little bit more complicated. But that's it for now. In the next video, I'll show you example 3 and example 4. So thanks for watching.